Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I want to touch on some stuff, been struggling with just some kind of personal stuff in life. There's a lot of battles going on right now, holidays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, different things. And a lot of people are really struggling with this stuff, and I want to encourage you, God can heal relationships. I'm hearing a lot of the same things. A lot of people in the world today they're just exhausted, man. They're exhausted, they're tired of COVID, tired of job issues. And I'm doing the same thing, struggling to survive just because the economy and the way the world's going right now is just kind of messed up. But I want to encourage you guys as we go through these battles, God is got to be our strength, because there's really nothing else that's going to work, man. And there's a lot of times when we start taking things out on our families, we start taking things out on our wives or our girlfriends or whatever. But just know that everybody's going through the same things. That it's not you. It's not a direct attack against you personally, but what it is there's just a time in life right now where we're all struggling with the same things all over the world, man. It's crazy. Same things, I live in Texas, and again, there was another shooting, and then everybody wants to go after the gun rights and all that stuff, and it's not the gun rights that are the issues. What it is the mental issues that a lot of these people have, where they've been rejected, they've been hurt, they've been just beat up. And I want to encourage you, there's so much out there for us to be doing, and jobs are wide open right now. Real estate's wide open right now. If you're selling a house, it's wide open. If you're purchasing a house, it's not the best time to buy, but it's a great time to sell, because everybody's looking, because new construction's slow. So, or the cost of it is up real high. But I want to encourage a move in the right direction, as far as not sitting on the couch being depressed, but get up and go do something, man. If you don't have anything to do, get up and find something. Go work on your car, go fishing, go do something, go to the beach. You can't sit at home alone. It's depressing, it's frustrating, and there's a lot of times in the Bible, which is what I live my life by, but where God will talk about how my son-in-law just spoke on it yesterday at church, and it was, we're chosen. We're a royal priesthood. We're chosen by God, and He chose to sacrifice for us. He chose to give us a lifestyle, and we need to understand that. We need to understand, and that's one of the tattoos that I've always wanted, was just chosen written across my chest, because there's also a verse that says, many are called, few are chosen. As far as when you look into the ministry part of things, not everybody's called to do the same things. So I'm a plumber by trade. I invested my time to learn plumbing. I got licensed. I've been in business for a long time. But there's other people that, they might be computer people or gamers or something, and that might be what you're called to do. So you don't have to be jealous or upset that I make more money or whatever, or maybe I do, maybe I don't. The odds are, if you're a gamer, you're making way more than I am. But, I want to just make sure that we're not, I battle with it a lot as I look at what everybody else has in my life. And one of the hardest battles as an adult, one of the hardest battles is just, again, from my other videos, is that self-confidence, man. You can't give up. You have to keep going. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep striving for what your vision is in life. And you can't give up just because things get hard. If you're chosen to do something, you have to push through it, and we have to be able to push through it and be able to get to the point where we understand the importance of that calling. So when you're sitting around and you're frustrated, business isn't going great, your YouTube's not going great, your Instagram's not going great, a lot of people don't make it overnight. that's a really rare thing. And you talk to professional musicians, and I keep up with different guys and whatnot, and very few of them have been overnight success, you know, and it took years for them to get recognized. And once they got recognized, then they got picked up by a label and thrown out there. But you got to understand that's not normal. Okay, that's not a normal lifestyle. That's not a normal thing to happen. It's a blessing. It's a huge blessing for a lot of people. But if you're not ready for it too, God's not going to throw it at you, you know, and God's not destructive. He's not in the business of giving you things that will cause you to self-destruct or to mess your life up. He's going to point you in a direction that makes sense for your future. So, you know, quick recap through the things, you know, it sounds kind of crazy to say this, but, you know, about my first business, I was 23 years old, I think, something like that. 55-year-old business. Had that for a couple years. It was failing when I bought it. We started getting it to the point where it was successful, and then all of a sudden God's like, you're moving to San Clemente. So I left that business, went to San Clemente, started another company. Took about a year for that to start really providing for my family and stuff. And once we did that, started getting good jobs, doing things. And then God called me to Hawaii, to Kauai. And I get to Kauai, the job I had set up blew me out. I was planning on just working for people over there. And what would end up happening in that time is, you know, I get frustrated with God. I just be like, God, why are you doing this? Why is it a consistent movement? Why am I constantly moving? Why can't I just have something stable? And one of the things that I've realized over the years is just change is good. But if you're seeking God, if you're seeking His perfect will in your life, you need to know that that perfect will may not, most of the time, it's not going to look like what you think the perfect will is. You know, and I've shared with you guys my most recent business that I got out of. You know, I went 30 years as a plumber just begging God to give me a business partner that could give me the financial backing so that I could be successful. And one of the things, it finally happened a couple years ago. And when it happened, these were people that I knew. I knew them as Christians. I didn't know much about their lives as far as we didn't hang out and stuff. But they came to me and said, listen, we're looking for a partner. We want to open a plumbing company. I had just gotten wiped out by Sears. I can talk about that now because it's over, but you know, basically I did a bunch of work all over the country for them, and they came in, and when they filed their bankruptcy, they basically wiped my whole family out for me in one foul swoop. So everything on my ranch, my trucks, my equipment, everything that I owned was gone again for the third time in my life. And you know, most people at that point would say, I'm done, man, I'm done, I'm not going back. And you know, that's why I can sit here and say, you can't give up. You can't give up. And I lost focus of what I was doing, which was I was going for the money, you know. And in the Bible, people say this to me all the time. God gives you the desires of your heart, but it's biblical. But if you slow that down in the process and you say, God gives you the desire that's in your heart, okay, then what it's saying is God puts those there. He puts those thoughts there. He puts those passions and desires there so that you can pursue something, so that you have something you're passionate about. Or it could be a physical, God will give you what you want. And, you know, I was sitting there with my business, with my new partners, and, you know, they've got their yacht, they've got all their money and everything, and they're doing fine because they had other resources. Well, my wife and I had to take all of our money that we had. We had to put it into an account and basically live off of that money for a year. And it wiped our bank account out. It really put a huge burden on us, because that was what the deal was. And we figured out, with the money in the backing, we'd be making a couple $100,000 a year, no problem. And we didn't. There was always an excuse for it, and that's fine. It's business, business happens like that. But one of the things that really messed me up, and again, when I had my business in Hawaii, I was doing the best I've ever done. We had everything we've ever wanted, and I broke my neck and was supposed to be paralyzed the rest of my life. I can walk, I can move. God worked a miracle in the doctor, and he was able to get me moving around, and so I'm grateful for that. But in the process, I lost everything. Ended up having to file a bankruptcy. And just as I came out of that bankruptcy was when we moved to Texas from the islands, and it was hard because the islands are a different place. There's a very peaceful, even though you're struggling, there's family there. There's Ohana, there's the family that takes care of you because you're part of the island. And that community and that love is something that I miss more than anything in the world. I don't miss the island as far as the place. I miss the people and the way that they loved on us, and just the way that we got to see kids grow up and got to know the local style and the local cultures. And we didn't move to the North Shore. We didn't move to where all the big fancy rich houses were and everything. We moved to a neighborhood in an 1,100 square foot house to raise our kids, because we wanted them to know the culture. And best thing I've ever done for my family. But when we moved to Texas and we got wiped out by Sears in the first couple of years, and then I started this other company because I needed to have an income, and these guys were there to basically say, hey, we can help you, it's all legal and this and that. I didn't want Sears taking all my money. So basically what happened was I went to work for them. I got what I wanted. I got that sugar daddy. I got that millionaire backing. But the problem is they wouldn't let me run the business the way that I wanted to, because I wasn't really the most successful business person as far as the way I did things. But one of the things, you guys, that really affected me in that whole business deal was, because I had partners, I had to respect the laws. And it's normal for me to sit and pray with my customers. It's normal for me to take time to talk to my guys in the morning, see how they're doing. How's your family? Can I pray for you? What can I do for you? I've done that in every business I've ever owned. I had 20 guys in Hawaii working for me at one point, and that's just the way I start my day, man. And it's what I do. It's part of who I am. It is who I am. And all of a sudden I couldn't do that anymore, because there's laws in place that say you can't pray with your workers because you might offend them and all this stuff. So I caught myself just being miserable, man. I couldn't be myself. Caught myself fighting with my partners all the time, disagreements, and I don't know everything about business, and they're kind of shrewd when it comes to business. Their workers are like cows, just going to the slaughter. And I get that. They're focused on their business. But one of the things is you can't build relationships in that situation. You can't have a solid relationship with people because they can't be important to you. So that's not the person I am. I'm a person that loves people. I'm a person that cares about people. So I really battled with that going through it. It made me feel like I was a lesser man. I was less than everybody else because I wasn't willing to sacrifice the person that I was for the money. And all of a sudden I'm sitting there one day and I'm praying, and I just, in my head, I hear God say, I gave you the desire of your heart. It wasn't my will. It was your will, Joe. It was your will that you forced my hand because I wouldn't leave God alone. God said, fine, I'm going to give you the desire that you have. And you guys, that desire was miserable. It brought me to a dark spot in my life. It brought me to a stress level where I ended up getting in the hospital, almost died. I was at the gym and had to go to the ER because my heart was popping, and I had all this stuff going on, and I was miserable. And I had what I wanted, but I was miserable. And I couldn't find any joy in it at all. Couldn't find joy in driving to Dallas every day for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon to get home in the traffic. Never saw my wife, never saw my grandkids or my kids. My son was working with us, but I didn't see him. I couldn't treat him like a son, and I couldn't entitle him in the company because everybody knew he was my son, so we couldn't have that whole favoritism thing, which is a bunch of baloney. But I think the most important thing in your life should be your family. It should be God, family, and then your business. Then you worry about the other stuff. And the sad thing is, you see these things and you see this stuff going on, and you see how many people are losing their children. Their children don't love them. They don't care about them. They don't. And a lot of that is because they've sacrificed so much for that money, thinking, hey, I'm building a future for my kids. Your kids are at the bar. They're out there getting, wasted, and they're out there partying and doing their thing because they think that that's the life they're going to have the rest of their lives. But anything can happen. I was doing great when Sears came in and filed their bankruptcy and took my business down with it. So I was making great money, didn't have any worries. I was gone a lot, but I was still doing what I needed to do. So just going into the stuff with your business, going into life, going into praying for things. A lot of kids are graduating right now because it's summertime, and they're thinking, what's my future? And what I would do is I would encourage you, don't worry about making the money. Worry about what's making you happy. If making money is going to make you happy, then go for it. Go for it. But if you're going to get lost in it, make what you need to make. Because in my life, I would trade my happiness is way more important at this point. Now, I didn't know that a couple of years ago. I wanted to test it, and I did. But my happiness is way more important. My joy is way more important. Having time to share the Lord with people and talk, and just, it makes me happy. So I don't need to be a millionaire. I'm never going to be a millionaire. I don't care about it. My kids don't care about it. So I would just say that prioritize your life in a way that makes you happy so that you can find peace. Because if you can't find peace and you can't find happiness, you're chasing your tail. And how many people do you hear about that become famous and they're making millions and millions of dollars and they commit suicide? They overdose, they kill themselves. And you look at that and you go, how can you have everything you ever dreamt of and still be miserable? Because people are under the impression that that money, that fame, and everything else is going to make you likable. Everybody's going to be your friend. But what happens is you get surrounded by a bunch of fake people that are your friend because you're partying. They're your friend because you're driving a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a Maserati or McLaren, whatever your car is. I'm a big fan of Lamborghinis. My son and I joke about it all the time because we've challenged each other to see who's going to buy a Lamborghini for the other first. And it would bring me no more joy, no better joy than for my son to be able to find something he enjoys doing and succeed in it. I would love nothing more than for him to pull up in my Lamborghini one day. I want him to beat me in that race and in that goal. But that's not important to either one of us, really. It's a goal we have. We're passionate about it. We joke about it. We talk about it. But I know that God's got something better for all of us. I know that God's got a calling on my kids' lives. And, I know my son-in-law and my daughter, I know their church is going to flourish. I know it's going to grow. I have dreams all the time about their church turning into a mega church. And right now in our area, it's growing and people are being blessed and relationships are being built. And it's real. And that's the thing, is when it's real, people are going to stick around. And when it's not real, the fakers, they're going to leave. And that's okay. Make room for other people. But I see them being blessed for what they're doing. And it brings me so much joy, and it's easy to support it. It's easy to be part of it because you just feel it in everything. You feel the success, you feel God's hand on their lives. And with my business right now, we're making our bills, you know, we're getting through, but the industry is hard right now in the area that we live in. We're kind of out in the country, and there's not a lot of people, there's not millions and millions of people here. So we're trying to figure that out, and we will. And, you know, if this YouTube thing takes off and I can monetize and do stuff like that, then great. If I can't, my whole thing is I want to help people through their seasons. I want to help people get what they want. I want you to find peace. I want you to find comfort. And the only places you're going to find that, I've spent a lot of time and a lot of hours and a lot of my life trying to figure out how I can find that peace. And you guys, the peace only comes from doing what God's called you to do, doing what you're chosen to do. I'm chosen to be an evangelist as far as I go out, and there's nothing that makes me happier than going out and sitting with somebody and just learning about them and loving on them and sharing what I know with them and helping people. That's my joy. Next to my kids and my grandkids, that's my joy. But I would just encourage you, you know, if you're struggling right now, man, and I don't know if you're Christian or not Christian, I don't know what your beliefs are. That's between you and God. And, you know, that's my whole thing is I'm sharing with you guys what works for me. And God knows I struggle. God knows that I have these battles. God knows that I talk to him just like I'm talking to this camera. And I believe that on a daily basis, when I'm communicating with God, he's just constantly encouraging me. He's constantly, you're going to be all right, man. And he knows the future. I don't. But, you know, I've had people tell me, you're going to be a millionaire. Your tithe check's going to buy me $100 million yacht. And that's, you know, if you're stuck on the tithe thing, you know, which I do tithe, but 10% is a tithe. That's what it requires. But if you give 10%, if this dude's saying 10% of my tithe, or 10% of my income is going to be able to buy him $100 million yacht. So if $100 million is only 10%, dude, that's people. And I've had at least 5 or 6 different people that I did not know, that I did not go to see, pull me out of crowds over the last 30 years and tell me the exact same thing. Not about the yacht, but about the money and how it was going to get there. And I'm not so wrapped up in it. One of my friends told me, you can't be wrapped up in the prophecy. You can't be wrapped up in what's happening because it may not be for today or yesterday, and it's not like God forgot about it. She said, what you got to do is just live your life the way you're supposed to, and when it's time, it's time. You'll know when it's time. And that really helped me because I was stressing on why didn't it happen? Why hasn't it happened yet? It's been 30 years and is God gonna make me a millionaire and I'm gonna die and leave it to my kids? Well, that's not a bad thing. So I finally got to the point in my life where I realized that I can't change God's time. I can't change God's outcome for my life. I can't change it. I can only pursue it. And that's where I'm at in my life right now, you guys. And I would encourage you, just pursue what God's got for you. Pursue that vision that God gives you that you want the most. Even if you think it's something stupid or you're worried that people are going to think it's stupid, go for the vision that God gave you in your life, that heart thing. If you're a lawyer, but you wanted to own a coffee shop, and the coffee shop brings you joy every time you walk into one, but being a lawyer is just how you make your money, get your coffee shop, man. You know, I can only encourage you to do what's going to make you feel good, and watch how God blesses it. Watch how God blesses what you're doing. My son and I are in business. I was going to give it up and go just do something completely different. And as a master plumber, I can work for a company and they'll pay me just for my license, and I just gotta go have a meeting every once in a while. Well, I really enjoy working with my son, but I wanted him to have the freedom to go out. So I said, man, just if you want to go do something, buddy, go do it. And you know, he's a hip hop artist. He makes his own music. He's doing YouTube videos. He's doing Instagram stuff, and he enjoys that. But it's not a living for him. But it could be if he invested enough time in it. And instead, we're going out and doing plumbing. And one of the coolest things that he's ever said to me was, "No, Dad, I want to do this with you. We'll get through this together." And that just destroyed my heart. Like, I was like full of joy. I was super, like, it wasn't what I expected. But we have that relationship together, and you know, my daughter, we have a relationship together that's unique to my daughter. I have a relationship that's unique to my son. I have a relationship with my son-in-law that's unique. And I love all of them. They're my kids. My granddaughter, you know, and I got 2 granddaughters and a grandson, and they bring me so much joy, but I love them each individually, and I'm passionate about them. So I'm pushing to see them and their future. I'm pushing to make them full of joy. I'm pushing to make sure that as a grandfather and a godly example in their life, I'm the man I'm supposed to be. Forget the money. Forget all that other stuff, because they don't care about all that. Yes, as they get older, they're going to want it, but they're on their own. They can do their own thing. What they can't do is be their own father, or be their own grandfather, or be their own husband or wife, or, you know, they can't. They have to focus on the example that I give them for the part of my life that I give to them. So I hope that encourages you guys. Just push forward, man, and look for what God wants you to do in your life. If it's something you're passionate about, the odds are it's what you need to be doing. And I was passionate about surfing and skating, but I was more passionate about the people that I wanted to reach. So I would spend 30 years just opening my heart, opening my life to people, to strangers, to people that were hurting. And the blessings that I got out of that are irreplaceable, man. I cannot say there's a value in that at all. There's not. I wouldn't change anything for what we've got. And that's not to say there hasn't been horrible struggles. There has. But I'm not a quitter. I can't quit. I've never been a quitter. And I'm not going to quit. You know, I'll walk away from stuff that's not worth my time. But I won't quit if God puts something on my heart. And I just want to encourage you guys, go find what God wants you to do and be happy. Right now, it's so hard to find happiness. Do what you're chosen to do. Do what God's called you to do. You're a royal priesthood. You're called. You're part of a family that's got millions and millions and millions of people in it. We're all a little bit different, but we're supposed to be supporting each other. That's what America's about, you know, is just loving on each other and having that freedom. And I would just encourage you, find what God's got for you, man, and pursue it with your passion. And if you're doing something that God doesn't want you to do, pray about it and make a change. You know, make a change and let me know how you're doing. Let me know how that change goes. Let me know what God's doing in your life and how I can be praying for you guys. I have a great group of people at my church that are prayer warriors, and I would love to be able to share and get them praying for you guys. You know, just hope you have a great day. I hope this video blesses you. You know, I hope God's blessing you big time and just stirring your hearts up and trying to get you going. And have a great day. Subscribe, like, write me, let me know how you're doing. These are just new videos. I mean, I'm legitimately just starting. I posted my first video on Father's Day. My daughter did it for me. And all I want to be able to do is get these out there so that if one little message helps somebody, I'll know. If one message changes somebody's life and steers them in the right direction, it's worth all the time I've invested in this. And right now I've got over 30 videos clocked up. I'm gonna start putting them in, and they're mostly on my book and stories in my book, but I'm going to veer from that every once in a while and do these little personal ones, things that are just on my heart. So guys, have a great day. We'll see you next time. Subscribe, tell your friends about Uncle Joe, and if I can help you guys, let me know. All right, have a great day.